What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, unified, WBC, IBF, welterweight, world champion, superstar boxer, Errol Spence Jr. has had some leaked footage of his sparring session in preparation for legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer, Manny Pacquiao, leaked. What's interesting about this is that you can see in the top right-hand corner that this is come from the PBC. Okay, you can clearly see like this is PBC recording. Looks like a professional recording. Okay, a professional team that's recording. Okay, and this leaked footage gets leaked and it gets put out there, and everybody's saying this guy, the sparring partner, has got the best of Errol Spence Jr. In this session. When you watch the session, you can see Errol Spence. He bends over. The guy's active, mimicking. He's mimicking Manny Pacquiao. Okay, he's mimicking the movements of Manny Pacquiao, the activity of Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, that's what you want out of sparring sessions. Okay, and so everybody's saying, well, if you look at this, he was dominating Errol Spence. Errol Spence was getting exposed, and so it got a little more exposure after, former unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who's a rival of Errol Spence, once he commented on it, and said that it was leaked on Twitter, so on and so forth. And Keith Thurman, he stated that, we all saw the sparring. This is what Keith Thurman had to say. He said, we all saw the sparring session. We all saw this guy getting the best of, Errol Spence Jr. Just didn't look good. But at the same time, whoever leaked this sparring session needs to be, banned from Errol Spence's gym, because Errol Spence's privacy. He's preparing for the biggest fight of his career, and this should not happen in the sport of boxing, right? Which I agree with Keith Thurman. But the thing is, just like when you're dealing with Floyd Mayweather, okay, when you're dealing with Floyd Mayweather, anytime somebody has the slightest bit of success, everybody says that, it's a major issue. It's a glaring issue. Every time when you're dealing with Floyd Mayweather, when Floyd Mayweather fought, a guy has success against Floyd Mayweather, everybody highlighted and say, you see that? Floyd Mayweather lost. In this sparring session, did the guy have some success against Errol Spence? Absolutely. Is Errol Spence asserting himself? You can see he's working on things, right? He's not throwing a jab. It's not in a real fight. He's not, throwing power punches. He's circling the ring. He's following the guy around. They having exchanges. The guy's active. And everybody's likening it to, well, if this was Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao, if this was Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence is he's going to get exposed. Now, Keith Thurman, he said that he don't believe that Errol Spence against Danny Garcia, when he took on 2-division world champion, superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, after coming off a 14-month a layoff and suffering that horrific car accident. Errol Spence, he stated that he was only 80% of himself in that fight with Danny Garcia. He still won, unanimous decision. Essentially, the rounds he lost, if any, what rounds he, kind of got off the gas, and, he was in cruise control. He was looking up at the clock sometimes, and, you could tell he, like you said, he was fatiguing. He's looking up at the clock. 14-month layoff, suffering a horrific car accident. So, with that said, Errol Spence, he said he was only 80% of himself. Keith Thurman, he responds, he says that he believes Errol Spence wasn't even 80% of himself. He believed he was 70% of himself. And he believes that, Errol Spence, is definitely going to need at least another 10% if he's going to be successful against Manny Pacquiao. Well, Manny Pacquiao is a legend in the sport of boxing. I believe that you need to be 100% of yourself when you compete with Manny Pacquiao, not 10%, okay? Not 80%. But with that said, Errol Spence is undefeated. Errol Spence, I believe, will find a way to get the job done. And so here we have a situation, a scenario where Errol Spence was having success as well, going to the body. You can see he was reaching to the body against the sparring partner. The guy was quick. He was active. You know, he was, you know, using a lot of movement. He was mimicking Manny Pacquiao very, very well. And you can clearly see, you know, Errol Spence was trying to get acclimated. But like Keith Thurman said, he said, now, when we look at that, we don't know what Errol Spence had previously done before that, right? So he stated that, you know, we don't know if Errol Spence, you know, had been on the heavy bag, right? We don't know if Errol Spence had just been, you know, running miles. We don't know what he was just doing before it got to that point. Okay, so we just assuming that Errol Spence was, you know, that was the first round. He was fully energized and he got in the ring and this guy was getting the best of him, right? And so, like he said, you know, we don't know if Errol Spence was just did multi-rounds on the heavy bag, on the speed bag. If he, what round it was it? You know, was Errol Spence, was this his third sparring partner, right? We don't know the logistics, but obviously everybody's going to take to it and they're going to say that Errol Spence was exposed. Errol Spence was struggling. This guy was having nothing but success against Errol Spence, and you know, Errol Spence is going to be in trouble. Everybody's hitting the panic button. When he fights Manny Pacquiao, he's going to be in trouble, right? What happens in sparring stays in sparring. Paul Sparring used to get the best of Floyd Mayweather on a continuous basis. And if you put them under the lights, would anybody pick Paul Sparring to beat Floyd Mayweather? So again, things happen in the sport of boxing, especially in sparring. There's a lot of fighters that get the best of fighters, especially in sparring. That doesn't mean it always translates to the big lights. There's a lot of talk that, you know, Jared Big Baby Anderson, the young 9-0, 9-knockout heavyweight, you know, prospect. He was knocking out Tyson Fury. He was giving Tyson Fury all types of problems. If we made a legitimate fight today with Jared Big Baby Anderson and Tyson Fury, who would favor Jared Anderson to beat Tyson Fury with the lights at its brightest and it all counts? Nobody. Okay? So sparring is sparring. Things happen in sparring for sure. You know, you're working on things in sparring. These are opportunities for your sparring partner, especially when it's relatively unknown sparring partners. These are opportunities for those sparring partners to try to make a name for themselves. Try to make sure they get back in the training camp and make more money. It's sparring. These things happen all the time. Okay? But that doesn't mean this is going to translate to Manny Pacquiao automatically fighting and beating Errol Spence Jr. Doesn't mean, that's not what that means. Doesn't mean that, you know, Errol Spence Jr. is in trouble when he fights Manny Pacquiao because this guy landed some punches on Errol Spence Jr. And the guy that has the footage and doing the breakdown of the footage, and he's showing you, and he's going over and he's saying, well, you see how Errol Spence is bending down, and you see this guy's landing combinations, and it just don't look good. Well, again, like Keith Thurman said, we don't know what round it was. We don't know what Errol Spence was doing prior to that. All we see is leaked footage. And I agree with Keith Thurman. Whoever leaked this footage needs to be banned from Errol Spence's gym completely from here on out. He needs not to be allowed. And again, you can see this footage is PBC footage. In the top right-hand corner, it says PBC in the top right-hand corner. So you can clearly see this is, this looks like some professional footage. So maybe this is somebody that works for the PBC or something. Who knows? But it should have never been put out there. But nonetheless, I could see Errol Spence was essentially going through the motions. Now I know people are going to say, oh, he wasn't going through the motions. He was trying and he wasn't successful and so on and so forth. You know, I see that he was going through the motions, in my opinion. It looks like he was, you know, working on things. You could hear Derrick James in the background telling him, you know, do this, do that, giving him instructions. So it's a lot to do with nothing. Point blank and period, in my opinion. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.